Tonight's MLB slate is loaded with money-making opportunities, and we've zeroed in on 3 matchups where the numbers, form, and betting market all line up. The Guardians look to extend their home dominance against a fading Marlins squad. The Blue Jays and Cubs square off in a game where the pitching mismatch could be bigger than the oddsmakers suggest, and the Astros-Red Sox duel has the potential to turn into a high-scoring chess match between power bats and shaky bullpens. These aren't just games, they're setups for sharp plays, if you know where to look. Baltimore's Oriole Park at Camden Yards will play host to a matchup that carries intrigue well beyond its standings implications, as the Orioles take on the Seattle Mariners. Seattle enters this one looking every bit like a postseason contender, sitting at 67-53, and playing with a confidence that has translated into 7 straight wins. Baltimore, on the other hand, sits at 53-66, but there's more fight in this team than the record might suggest. They've actually taken 6 of their last 7 meetings with Seattle, and those results aren't purely accidental. Betting markets have given Seattle the edge here, opening with the Mariners between -140 and -150 on the moneyline, while Baltimore sits as a home underdog in the +120 to +130 range. The run line gives the Orioles +1.5 at decent value, and with the total posted between 8 and 8.5 runs, there's an immediate sense that the oddsmakers are expecting a relatively tight contest. On the mound, the Mariners will send Logan Gilbert, a right-hander who's 3-4 with a 3.35 ERA. Gilbert has been steady in limiting damage early, with a high first pitch strike rate and an ability to keep hitters guessing with his slider and elevated fastball. He's not overpowering in strikeout numbers, but he locates well enough to avoid big innings. Baltimore will counter with Trevor Rogers, a lefty with a 5-2 record and a jaw-dropping 1.44 ERA at home this year. Rogers has been masterful in his starts at Camden Yards, not allowing a run in the first inning all season in front of his home crowd. His changeup has been particularly effective against right-handed hitters, which is key against a Mariners lineup that leans heavily right-handed in its power core. The Mariners' recent form is a big reason why the betting public leans their way. They've been one of the league's most consistent road favorites, winning over 70% of games in that role this year. Julio Rodriguez has been leading the charge offensively, with a mix of power and speed that can change a game with a single swing or dash. Cal Raleigh's bat from the catcher position adds depth and danger in the middle of the order, and Seattle's bullpen has been locking games down with a SUB 3.00 ERA over the last month. However, Baltimore is no pushover at home, and their recent track record against Seattle is an important note for spread bettors. The Orioles have covered the +1.5 line in roughly 65% of simulations, a figure that can't be ignored when assessing value. From a betting perspective, the safest play on the board is likely the Mariners' moneyline. Their depth, pitching consistency, and recent winning streak make them the more reliable side to win outright. But the Orioles' +1.5 run line is arguably the sharper bet, especially for those who believe Rogers can keep the game close into the late innings. As for the total, there's a legitimate case for the under at 8.5. With both starters capable of limiting early scoring, and both teams showing tendencies toward lower scoring matchups when facing strong opposing arms, the conditions set up for a 4-3 or 3-2 type of outcome. When it comes to player props, a few stand out. Trevor Rogers over 5.5 strikeouts has real upside, given Seattle's occasional swing and miss tendencies against left-handed changeups. Gunnar Henderson over 0.5 hits feels like one of the safer offensive props for Baltimore. He's been their most consistent bat and should get multiple looks at Gilbert. On the Mariners' side, Julio Rodriguez over 1.5 total bases makes sense given his recent form and ability to hit lefties hard. If you're looking for a same-game parlay build, pairing Orioles +1.5 with Rogers over strikeouts and the under on the total offers a balanced, correlated package. For those leaning on Seattle, Combining Mariners' ML with Gilbert under 5.5 strikeouts and a Henderson hit gives a route to profit while acknowledging Baltimore's offensive potential. There's also an argument for a more aggressive contrarian approach by taking Baltimore outright on the money line, banking on Rogers' dominance at home and their past head-to-head success against Seattle. The risk is clear. The Mariners have been surging and punishing mistakes, but the payoff would be sizable, especially in parlays. Still, for most bettors, the most logical path is to lean Seattle for the win, Baltimore for the cover, and to mine the prop market for value plays tied to pitching matchups. This is one of those games where the box score the next day might show a final result that matches the betting numbers almost perfectly, a narrow margin, strong pitching on both sides, and one or two key swings deciding the outcome. Seattle has the deeper roster and the hotter hand, but Baltimore's home ace and knack for frustrating this opponent make it far from a layup. The verdict here is Mariners moneyline for security, Orioles plus 1.5 for value, and a lean to the under with props that ride Rogers' arm and star bats to contribute without inflating the scoreboard. The midweek slate rolls on with a cross-league showdown that might not carry playoff rematch history but still packs betting intrigue as the Toronto Blue Jays host the Chicago Cubs. Toronto enters at 63-56, sitting in the thick of the AL wild card hunt, while the Cubs are 58-62, still trying to claw their way into the NL wild card picture despite an up-and-down summer. This game is being treated by the books as a relatively close affair with Toronto opening as the favorite in the -140 to -150 range, while the Cubs are slotted in around +120 to +130 as road underdogs. The total has been set between 8.5 and 9 depending on the shop, signaling the expectation of moderate scoring with the pitching matchup potentially dictating tempo early. Toronto's been stronger at home, winning just over 58% of their games at Rogers Center, but Chicago's shown an ability to play spoiler, going 9-4 in their last 13 games as an underdog of +120 or higher. Toronto hands the ball to Jose Berríos, who's been a steady presence in their rotation. Berríos sits at 9-7 with a 3.59 ERA, but his splits tell a sharper story, a 2.98 ERA at home this year, keeping opponents to a .214 batting average in this building. He's not racking up elite strikeout numbers but has been efficient at inducing weak contact, something that plays well against a Cubs lineup that's been inconsistent in producing power away from Wrigley. Chicago counters with Justin Steele, their lefty ace who has been one of the bright spots in an otherwise turbulent season. Steele comes in at 12-4 with a 3.02 ERA, and while he's handled most opponents with poise, his road ERA jumps to 3.68. He relies heavily on fastball command to set up his cutter, and Toronto's right-handed heavy batting order could be an issue if he's not spotting pitches on the inside corner. The Cubs have been a tricky team for bettors. Over their last 20 games, they've alternated winning and losing streaks without much middle ground. Their offense hinges on the production of Cody Bellinger, who's hitting .319 and has shown power to all fields this season, and Seiya Suzuki, who's been scorching hot in August, hitting over .350 with multiple extra base hits in the last 2 weeks. But the Cubs have also struggled in late-game situations, with a bullpen ERA north of 4.40 over the past month. That could be a critical weakness against a Toronto lineup that thrives on late rallies, with the likes of Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. delivering in the 7th inning or later. For the Blue Jays, the offensive question is consistency. They're averaging 4.2 runs per game, ranking in the middle of the league, but they've been held to 3 runs or fewer in 6 of their last 10 contests. Bichette remains the engine, batting .313 with strong numbers against left-handed pitching, and Guerrero Jr. has started to find his timing with 3 home runs in the past week. If they get traffic on the bases early, their odds of winning climb substantially. Toronto is 39-11 this season when scoring first, while Chicago is just 18-42 when trailing after 3 innings. From a betting perspective, the most logical angle for many will be the first 5 innings market. Both Berríos and Steele are capable of navigating through the opposing order twice before fatigue or bullpen variance comes into play. A first 5 under 4.5 feels like a sharp approach, banking on these arms to control pace early. On the full game side, the Blue Jays' moneyline is the safer position. They have the better bullpen, the more consistent top of the order bats, and home field advantage in a dome setting that eliminates weather variables. Prop markets offer some solid opportunities. Jose Berríos over 5.5 strikeouts is worth consideration against a Cubs team that strikes out 23% of the time against right-handers. Bichette over 1.5 total bases is a plus money spot that aligns with his historical success against southpaws. For Chicago, Bellinger over 0.5 RBs could be a sneaky play, especially if he comes to the plate with runners in scoring position early. If you're building a same-game parlay leaning Toronto, combining Blue Jays ML with Berríos over strikeouts and Bichette total bases creates a high upside, correlated ticket. On the Cubs side, pairing Cubs plus 1.5 with Steele over strikeouts and a Bellinger RBI gives underdog backers a path with room for error. There's also an argument for the total over 8.5 if you believe in late scoring. Both bullpens have shown vulnerability, particularly Chicago's, and in close interleague games, pinch-hitting moves can disrupt starting pitcher momentum. Toronto's late-game ops jumps 40 points after the 6th inning, while Chicago's slugging percentage spikes when facing relievers without elite velocity. That opens the door for a 5-4 or 6-4 type of final if either bullpen falters. The bottom line is that this game comes down to starting pitching execution and which lineup capitalizes first. Steele's command against a right-handed heavy order will be tested, and Berríos will need to avoid the long ball against a Cubs team that can ambush mistakes. Toronto's edge is subtle but meaningful: better bullpen, home park advantage, and hitters who match up well against left-handed pitching. The lean is Toronto to take the win, the first 5 innings under to cash early for those looking to avoid late-game chaos, and targeted props on Berríos, Bichette, and Bellinger to extract extra value from a tight matchup. Progressive Field will be electric as the Cleveland Guardians host the Miami Marlins for Game 3. Cleveland enters this matchup riding momentum, with a 6-game win streak and recent offensive flair, driven by Jose Ramirez's multi-homer burst and depth from the bottom of the lineup. The Marlins arrive desperate to snap a 4-game skid and stabilize after surrendering 26 runs in those losses. Oddsmakers have Cleveland as clear favorites, between -135 and 138 on the moneyline, while Miami holds plus money at around plus 105 to plus 110. The total has shifted upward from an opening 7.5 to 8, signaling lean toward offense despite 2 elite arms on the mound. On the mound, Miami counters with Yuri Perez, 4-3, 3.25 ERA, a towering flamethrower with strong K/BB value, 52 kiloseconds to 20 walks in 55.1 IP, and a stingy .204 opponent BA. Cleveland turns to Gavin Williams, 7-4, 3.17 ERA, fresh off a near no-hitter where he scattered just 1 hit over 8 1/3 innings. Williams's home splits are sharp, 2.78 ERA in his last 7 starts, though control remains a challenge, 4.7 BB, 9. Classic Yankees vs. Red Sox vibes aside, this is a duel of rising young arms, and the numbers lean Cleveland. Models give Guardians a 59% win probability, with simulations underscoring both the edge in pitching and offensive form. The bullpen is a plus, too. Cleveland relievers have logged a 3.45 ERA in recent stretch outings, while Miami's pen suffered last night's game-ending home run. Marlins' road woes persist. They've gone just 24-33, and their interleague numbers are weak, 4-12 in their last 16. Digging into betting trends, Cleveland is rock steady, 5-0 in their last 5 games overall in ATS. They've also excelled on the road, 35-26 ATS. The over-under has hit the over only 2 out of the last 5 games, but home totals have gone over in 28 of the last 56 games at Progressive Field. All this suggests a tight middle ground but leans toward a cautious over, especially given the go-ahead power bats like Ramirez delivering consistently. From a betting strategy standpoint, the Guardians' moneyline is the foundational play, great value supported by form and pitching. The Guardians' minus 1.5 run line, plus 160, is juicy for bettors confident in Cleveland's depth and resolve. Meanwhile, the under 8 offers sharp structure value. Despite the total moving higher, rates from both starters and Progressive Field's suppressive environment support a tighter scoring outlook. Props add texture. Williams over 5.5 strikeouts feels strong. His recent outings show command of swing and miss, and Miami's lineup continues to chase. For the lineup, Jose Ramirez over 1.5 total bases has fire behind it, and Lane Thomas to record a hit or homer holds value. Thomas has homered in each of his last 6 appearances against Miami. The Marlins' Xavier Edwards over 0.5 hits offers contrarian micro angle. His contact rate is elite despite overall offensive swing. Build your same-game parlay like this. Guardians ML plus under 8 plus Williams over Ks, low variance, high payoff ticket. For more juice, consider Guardians minus 1.5 plus Ramirez over TBs plus Thomas hit. If chasing contrarian, a lean on Marlins ML or plus 1.5 offers massive payout, but value evaporates fast if betting flow tilts sharply. This is baseball at its best. 2 elite young starters, a tight but trending betting edge, and layered narratives, from Ramirez's launch sequence to Marlins fighting for relevance. Mariners may be rolling in another game, but here, Cleveland holds depth, execution, and narrative, and that's the edge. If you're serious about cashing tickets, this is where you get the edge. We break down the stats, trends, and betting angles the books hope you overlook, so you're not just watching baseball, you're winning on it. Subscribe to Beyond the Box Score, lock in with us every day, and start turning those box scores into bankroll boosts. And if you're looking for more action, Part 2 with the rest of today's games is already uploaded, so make sure you watch that next to get the complete slate breakdown.